love that intro.
It's such a good intro. We got to keep the extended with the drums. It's so good. It's so
Yeah, one goes next. Recorded March 27, 2024, on a Wednesday, since I've lost track of time in my small world. Good afternoon, Andrea.
This has been a long month.
Yeah, it has been a long month. Good afternoon, Andrea. Good afternoon, Brody. Good afternoon, Rod. How's everyone doing?
Hey.
I'm
So
today.
Andrea gets to go first because Edward mentioned Andrea first.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, it's a method to my madness. If you guys just sort of watch the patterns,
Yeah,
you know, you'll see it. So
I have you figured out. I used machine learning, but I figured it out.
I have you figured out.
I usually get to go first because I'm usually alphabetically superior, though I bet you Brody's probably pretty close with BC. AF was usually the earliest in the classroom. I was usually that first one in the first chair.
Yes.
When you're in
Yes.
grammar school.
Same.
Well,
I'm a
that's an
B
acronym
first
for
name,
something.
C last
Yeah.
name. So I hear you, Andrea. I'm right up there. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
sure.
It sucks if you were perpetually late in school because then your name would be called first early and you couldn't just like run in and be like, you know, Zordon Xavier, you know.
Bet you went to recess first too. Then that's.
Oh yeah, right. I was a terrible student. We'll just call that out right now. Terrible. Really good at recess. Really good at computers. Bad at everything else because I just didn't want to be there. Yeah.
Did not want to be there either.
Yeah.
School was horrible. Absolutely was horrible.
Andrea, did you do anything today?
I know. I was just going to say I'm actually a little bit weary because Rod and I spent about 75 minutes with apparently about 500 or so people talking about the fundamentals of responsibility in generative AI and our Learn Live session, which is a follow-up to the one that Edward and I did last week.
The interesting thing is what's this series? What's the intention of this series, Andrea?
Well, the whole purpose of the series is to talk about Copilot for security. But I feel like it's one of those things where, like, whenever you read an article, they have to, like, whatever the article is telling you it's going to do, first it has to explain to you what the thing is. You're like, well, how do I cure a hangnail? Well, what is a hangnail? And so we've been setting up what is AI for the last 2 weeks. So
what really is AI?
It's just 2 letters. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
It's a series of tubes.
It was 2 letters. Stephen Lamb, I watch him on LinkedIn, and he wrote a very funny thing today. He used Copilot to decode a base 64 string that was part of a Bart Simpson right on the chalkboard thing, and it was clearly known what that decode was. It was Copilot is evil, but Copilot wouldn't say it was evil. It said it was Homer Simpson was evil. He asked it a few more times before it fessed up. So I started calling Copilot an AI politician. You misquoted me. There you go.
There you go.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. So, so part of what Andrew did is sort of part of what Rod did. So Rod, what do you do today?
Andrea really just answered the whole thing, but I did want to talk about something real quick. You know, I always have something to talk about.
You are prepared, Rod.
And here we go. Unfortunately, this is our very last episode of Women in Cyber for 2024. It's been an awesome month. I have to tell you, just personally, I've really enjoyed all the discussions that we've had with all of the women that have been here. It's been super amazing. Everyone just kind of topped the next. So not that Donnie, the first one of the month, was, you know, just on such a low level. She was amazing too. Holy crap. You think about all of the people we've talked to this month. It's been great. But next month, if you can see, for those listeners not looking, not live, which you should always come and attend this thing live because we do crazy things. Yeah. This is our schedule for next month. We actually have partner month in April, and this is our schedule. We start the month off with the lead for Microsoft Copilot for Security Partners at Microsoft, James Key, Monday, April 1st. What is April 1st?
it is the date that Copilot for Security goes general availability is one answer.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, it's also, it's also April Fool's. But consider this. This is, I think we beat everything here, because on April 1st, as everybody's going into the Azure console and enabling Copilot for security in their environments, they'll be able to stop in and hear about the whole partner program and talk to our partners. We have Tanium, Quorum Cyber next month, Bulletproof, Critical Start, Foresight IT, and Security Risk Advisors. So,
what a lineup! And by the way, it's obviously launching on April 1st. I just think it's hilarious that it's launching on April 1st. And I just think
many people fought that.
Yeah.
So many people actually fought it, but
yeah,
I know it's a made-up holiday, but or not really a holiday, but it's just hilarious.
I mean, it's you could purposely say it was, you could say it was purposely done to give some type of, controversial. You're gonna put it on April Fool's Day. What if it doesn't come out? Are you telling everybody they're a fool? Yeah, you are. Yeah. Anyway,
it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's gonna back to what you said, Rod. This month, why it was way busier than last year, was a really good, theme month with all the women that are coming on. Yesterday, our guests really showed that when you put your mind to something and you believe what you're trying to do makes impact. It was awesome. So Larissa, big shout out. She and I are going to connect, talk more about her organization, stand fast to the donation that the show gave her. So we're donating $1,000 to sponsor one of her students for obtaining their CISSP.
Yes.
And that's, I definitely want to stay connected around that and see what that maturation process is, how they go about doing it, understanding the curriculum, and I'm excited to see them continue to grow. I think that the show did expose her organization to people who, are like-minded and those who are making donations. So for all of our listeners that did, thank you so much. But now we're back at another theme month. April's not as busy, but it's still not light. But
we still have 6 shows next month. So.
6 shows. And we, I don't know if Rod has gotten as many invitation requests that I have, but we turned some partners away. We just don't have the cycles, right? So that doesn't mean that we may not have a partner here and now to break up the monotony of our monthly stuff. So, but we'll be back at it. One thing to note, you want to say it now, Rod, about our schedule, or just wait until we start?
What's it? What am I missing?
What we talked this morning about.
Did we talk today?
Yes, we talked today.
Is it Wednesday?
It is Wednesday. So to all our listeners, I know that we've been confusing you by having shows on Monday, then Wednesday, then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Right.
Okay. Starting in April. Starting in April, our shows will be every Monday from 5 to 6, except for the outliers where we will have 2 shows during the week a couple of times, which will be on Wednesday. We will remind you every show that our primary show date will be on Mondays instead of Wednesdays.
And just so you know, our guest last night compared our show to the Smartless podcast, and I went out and looked. I've heard it before, but I went out and looked. They do their shows on Mondays.
You know what?
So it works for them. So yeah, there you go.
Sounds like we've all got a case of the Mondays.
I'm all about the Mondays.
That's great.
Blue moon on Monday. But anyway, you break anything? You broke, nobody? Anything? Okay, we good.
I didn't, but we've not heard from Brody. I'm actually I think we should let Brody talk because, again, he needs to get up and put some pants on.
Wow, Rod, that could get me in trouble. I have pants on. You're like, I'll do a leg. Pants. Actually, they're Lululemons. My wife.
I wish I could whistle.
Thank you. They're great on the plane. I'm never wearing jeans on the plane again. Lululemons all the time. What am I working on? Nothing. No big deal. I'm just defining a data security and governance modernization strategy for a large critical infrastructure entity. It's not a big deal. It's just a little thing I got going on the side. No biggie. Also, I'm just designing, working to design a top secret government project thing with cloud tech. It's cool. Not a big deal. Everything's, it's just, just standard Brody week by week stuff. So it's all good. It's humble bragging. Yep. Haven't broken anything yet. So
yeah, it's cool. But
Edward's rolling his eyes over there, throwing stuff.
You also have the baby on the way. So
yes. Baby's on the way, yes. And I tell you what, one of my project managers,
on the way, but
Oh no, I would be in serious trouble if I was on this.
I saw a stork
It's
fly
literally on the
overhead. I
way.
thought it was for sure.
It is the stork, right? That's how babies get here. Get made.
Well,
Yeah,
as
totally.
long as this stork wasn't built by Boeing, you'll get your child.
Oh man, wow, is that ever in the news a lot? You'd think there was like,
This is good. I
bunch
like
of
that.
jokers working there. But yeah, baby's on the way, nursery's built, things are great. One of my project managers, I had to tell him like, hey, I'm taking paternity leave. It's this period of time. He's like, hey, when exactly are you taking it off? I'm like, well, the baby's due on this day, but it could come early or it could come late, and it just blew his mind. He's like, what do you mean you can't give me a fixed date? And I'm like, oh, you're such a project manager. Yeah, you're right. I can't.
Here's the fixed date, 2024. How about that?
Right. Yeah. Spring. Yeah.
No, I'll be sure to let you know, right? And you can put this in your milestones. Brody has baby. Keep it moving,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. That's all with me. Thank you for letting me speak to my stuff.
Yeah, not too much this week. A lot of sales calls for me this week. So people are looking at the service. Oh yeah, we
tracks.
We did I did a presentation to all the professional sports teams, IT and security people. So NBA, NFL, Major League Soccer, baseball, pickleball. If it has anything to do with pro sports, they were in the conference today, and we were talking about threat landscape and how defender for experts can help augment their stuff. And got a couple of ideas from some of the participants, and started writing a paper. And I'm going to submit, like you and I talked about, Rod. After I got off the call with you, I had an idea. So I'll send it by you, take a look, and then if you think it's all right, we'll send it over for October.
So was it a slam dunk and a home run, or
sorry? No, I kicked the interception.
Oh, there you go.
How about that? I kicked the interception. Hockey people were on there too. A lot of representation from NHL. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave them out, Brody. They were there. So these were the individuals that run the security for all these sports, right? And I mean, you would think there would be a little bit more integration, but they all talk of a sort. But all these organizations sort of run their own stuff. So one team is not centrally governed by the body of whatever it is. So the NFL office doesn't tell these people what to do, right? I'm sure they collaborate, but it was interesting to see all the folks and see who they work for. Some of the names you could tell, but some of them you can't, because the name of the company is not the name of the team, right? You got to think that a lot of these, almost all of these organizations are family owned, so they're family offices, which is a financial vehicle, right? You're super rich. It's actually pretty cool to see all that. But hey, we have a guest that's sitting in there eating up all the snacks, drinking up all the wine. We got
wine now? Wow.
Yeah, we got wine now.
We're moving up.
And
look at it.
This is actually one of my teammates. We actually work on the same team at Microsoft. And here's a little anecdote before she introduces herself. Her and I have been teammates since the very beginning of this team, even without a manager. We just governed ourselves for quite a long time. So.
That's
it. And got a manager later.
We still don't need a manager. I don't know what they're trying to do. Yeah, there you go.
Inmates running the prison. There you go.
So this is Joylynn. This is my teammate. And introduce yourself, Joylynn. Tell us where you're from and what you do in your role. And I think you have some upcoming things, probably build and stuff like that you can talk about.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Rod. It's so great to meet Andrea, Edward, Brody. I don't think we've worked before together, but it's great to meet you all. Yes, my name is Joylynn Kirui. I'm based out in a small city called Nakuru, which is like 3 hours away from the main capital city of Kenya, Nairobi. Yes, and I'm a senior cloud security advocate in Microsoft. I have been in security for, let's say, more than 12 years or so, but I didn't start off in security. So that's a story for later, I think. It's an interesting story of how I ended up in security. And in Microsoft, I do a lot around developer security, so DevSecOps, and now AI security, API security. So I support several product groups like the Defender for APIs, DevOps security, GitHub Advanced Security as well. So anything to do with developers, coming from a developer background as well. Yes.
Cool. Really cool.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And I know you, and I know the stuff that you do. And like I said, super awesome. Here's the thing, and I'm glad you kind of touched on that, because we talk about that quite a bit during the month when we talk about women in cyber. We've actually had a lot of people on the show that didn't start in cybersecurity, but I think this is actually a really important story for you to tell, because what was it, 2020 or something? You were like one of the top 50 women in Africa. So going from no security, not starting out security at all, to tell us how you got to that point.
Okay, so I was, let's say, a full stack software developer. I used to develop so many systems by my own. Some were actually even published in the national newspaper within Kenya. So I think I was very good. I think I was very good. And one time, actually, one of those systems got compromised, like it got hacked.
Oh.
Yeah, and then just like many other developers, I was not thinking about security at all whenever I was developing. And I went to what I call YouTube University, just to learn how to code more securely, and that's how I went to being like a self-taught secure developer. Because most developers are actually not trained as of now as well in terms of secure development, how to code securely, how to use the best security best practices as well. And that's where I come in. So I'm using my experience from being a software developer and using that experience in secure coding to train other developers on secure coding. Yes, so that's how actually one of the big techs in Kenya headhunted me at that period of time, and I got into that company to use my software development skills to automate scripts to identify security vulnerabilities within their financial systems. And back in 2016 in Kenya, that's the time when the government officiated that any financial institution should have a cybersecurity professional. And as of that time, I think we were just like probably 10 of us in the whole country. Yes. Yeah. So at that time, we decided, like, even for us, the few ladies that are in the field, we started a community called She Hacks Kenya. So it's a community-led organization whereby we're training other ladies and onboarding other ladies as well within the community and training them and upskilling them to be job ready. And yes, I've done a lot around the community, especially in Africa. And because it's quite young, I can say we properly started cybersecurity initiatives in 2016. So we are quite young. And there's a lot that is happening within Africa, especially around cybersecurity. And I'm looking forward to having your input as well in most of our initiatives here, because I think we need mentors, we need support, we need a lot of things as well. And we have great talent in this continent as well. And let me tell you something. So as of 2021, 2022, that's the time they opened the Nairobi and the Lagos Development Center. So prior to that, actually, most of us didn't have the opportunities to work for big tech companies. Do you know that? I actually started off in my first year of campus. I was a Microsoft Learn student ambassador. So they were just starting it off within the country. And then it didn't work very well, but I'm glad that right now all the programs are working properly within the country. We're getting more opportunities within big tech companies, also within the continent. Before it was not possible, but now with having Microsoft Africa Development Center based in Nairobi and Lagos, we're having more and more software developers and program managers as well. So enough about me. Yeah, I think that's a brief
about you. It's all about you tonight. So, yeah,
I think that's so amazing, Joylynn. That reminds me of Edward. Edward's the same way. As when he sees something that needs to be fixed, he will jump in there and fix it. And I love that, y'all decided that you needed to have more women in cyber, so you created a program to get it done. I love that. I wish I were more like that, for sure.
Well, and consider, you should also mention, aren't you? So the thing that I was at in Denmark last week, Experts Live, which was the first one for Denmark. They also have one, I think, in another one in Europe. But you're also, is that coming up, or you're doing that? It's another one of those situations. You're like, hey, I want to do this thing. So
yes, so that's for Experts Live. So it's mainly in Europe, and then they have it also in the UK, in the US, and India for the first time last month, and Australia last year for the first time as well. Yeah. So I was like, why don't you have this in Africa? So we started off an Experts Live Kenya. So for the first time in Africa, we are having an Experts Live in Kenya on the 26th of July, 2024. 26th and our call for papers closes on the 29th. That's like in a day.
And you're paying, you're paying to bring me over, right? Did I hear that?
You know, big money.
How do you, what are the dates again for this?
26th July. So it's quite interesting because I'm seeing so many MVPs from all over Europe, even from India. Like they're quite eager to come to Kenya and to submit their sessions. And I can tell that the community is quite eager as well to hear from the experts, from the various experts that we have.
Definitely interesting. Yeah. You said the call for papers is the deadline is actually a couple of days from
29th.
now?
Yes.
Call for papers. You know, Kenya's been on my list to get down there. Actually, my nonprofit has a chapter in Kenya. So,
really?
yeah, I got some of my friends that run, and they go to Kenya for about 2-3 months to train, and then they come back. So this might be the reason to come on over now. Got a note.
Oh, and trust me, so July and August is the best time to actually come to Kenya because that's the time when you have the wildebeest migration happening. And that's like among the 5 wonders of the world. Cool. So they move from Tanzania into Kenya. So it's usually a whole phenomenon. It's very beautiful.
So why would anyone go to an Experts Live session if they're watching the wildebeest?
I mean,
go
ahead. I'm sorry.
Experts Live Kenya is just for 1 day, and then you can go after the session.
Yeah, I mean,
my
you're
camera
a crocodile.
is misbehaving.
That's right.
All right. So the 20-year Kenya Experts Live, we definitely have to connect on that.
I put the link. I'll put the link in the show notes as well, and I'll just go ahead and manually forward it to you, Edward, so you'll get to it.
Okay. I did not know that it was multinational like that.
Oh yeah, they're really, really, really expanding. I know the folks that started the original, so all good people. Yeah, it's huge.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we sort of Optimus Prime jumped up, and then Joylynn sort of went on mute. There you go. All right. So you gave us a rundown on how you went from being a stack developer into security, helping organizations code better or understanding that security should be built in. How's that going? Really, I mean, because when you're working with developers, it seems like when you bring them one more thing to do, one more framework, what is the secret to getting them to buy in to what you're doing? Is it through pain and threats, or is it showing them that, hey, this ultimately benefits you down the road and even up the road? So what's the key to success? Because it sounds like you're making it work.
Yes. So previously what we were seeing was a lot of blame game, especially when a hack happens. So they're like, which developer actually wrote this into the code base? There's a lot of blame game happening around. So the secret is to have the buy-in from leadership. The leadership should have the security first mindset, because when leadership knows that security is quite important, everyone else within the organization, I talk of it like a top-down approach. They'll know that security is also important, because definitely security needs a lot of investment, right? When you want developers to use all these tools that we want to buy, there's a cost element to it, right? And before, there used to be a lot of pushback from developers, because the way it used to work was the developers work on their own silo, and then the security team work on their own silo. And then if you're working on a particular project, the developers, they create like their MVP, and then it goes to the security team, and then we do the whole security review. And what we used to do, like I'm guilty of this, was to create like a whole Excel page with like 100 plus security vulnerabilities and then give it back to the developers. And then they are not trained to know what these security vulnerabilities are. So you're giving them all the security vulnerabilities and then they're wondering what to do with it. So the whole essence of training on secure coding is that it's everyone's responsibility. So security is everyone's responsibility. So the developers know that they are the first line of defense. The reason why I call them the first line of defense is that they know when they are doing something wrong.
Really?
They know when they are, they know for sure. So from working with
They've
developers,
been lying to us all
like,
this time. Yeah.
So you'll find that probably like to enable something like in financial systems, we have something like two-way SSL. That would take a long process. So you'll find that for most developers, they would say that, oh, that one will take a long process, or why don't we just do the way of doing it? And then also like they tend to use a lot of shortcuts because the correct way takes a long period of time. And also there's a lot of pushback as well from business to have these features pushed to production. You get? So, and then when it gets to that point where it has to go to production, the security team is like, but you've seen all these critical security vulnerabilities, so we can't go to production. You see, so there's usually a lot of pushback between the developer team and the security team. So the whole essence of DevSecOps is that we are working together, so that we don't have all this blame game afterwards saying that this team, we gave you all the security vulnerabilities, but you didn't address them. We are all taking ownership of this and having a security first mindset integrated throughout our software development lifecycle.
But
Make sense?
Is everyone taking responsibility? Because here's the thing that I see, and I regularly, talk to people, developers and others as well. So for the longest time, you had IT folks that wouldn't talk to security people. They just literally wouldn't talk. And in the same respect, developers don't like to be told what to do. So I think, again, it's more everybody needs to kind of take that responsibility. And I think what you said is super important because you need manager buy-in. You need these people to kind of bring everybody together. And is that happening now? Is that something that you're seeing that is happening? And is it happening maybe because of some tools that Microsoft has to make it even better? Or, what does that look like?
It's getting better. I can say like we are, okay, this is just like I'm making up this number, but probably like 70% there. Because I'm seeing a lot of developers being aware of security vulnerabilities. And we also have products within Microsoft and GitHub that enables developers to code securely. I had mentioned that I support the GitHub Advanced Security. So GitHub Advanced Security has several capabilities. The key components are code scanning. So code scanning is for the code that the developer is actually developing. And then we also have secret scanning to detect if there are any secrets that are embedded within the code base. That's like hard-coded tokens, API keys, any kind of secret that is within your code. It's able to detect it also through the partnership programs as well. And then we also have what we call, they also have Dependabot. So Dependabot scans for supply chain security vulnerabilities. So that's what we call open source dependencies and third-party components as well. So you find that 80% of the code base is actually borrowed code. So that's why we have libraries, we have all these third-party components. So you can imagine if we are borrowing in 80% of the code within our code base, so we are also borrowing in 80% of security vulnerabilities. So we have to take care of that as well. So that also gives you an overview of the supply chain security vulnerabilities. And it's also very important as well to look at the software bill of materials. So GitHub Advanced Security also has that capability of the dependency graph. It gives you a breakdown of all the libraries and all the components that you're using within your code base. Because once you know what's within your code, you know which one is actually vulnerable. And you also get to know which of the other repositories are also vulnerable, or which ones are using this particular component that's vulnerable as well. So that's always important. In everything, it's always good to have a software bill of materials.
So,
Yes.
for the longest, I just thought that it was the lack of knowledge around the secure development, and them not knowing. But it sounds like there are developers who are aware that if they code in a particular manner or call libraries or modules that are inherently secure, that they do it in the interest of time and getting stuff to production. So it seems that knowledge level within coders is known. They know that when they use a particular build or whatever else they put in there, that there have been documented vulnerabilities along that to be able to do these things. That's what it sounds like. So if they have knowledge around this, it would stand to reason that the process and the executive buy-in slash, you said buy-in, executive enforcement of secure code would come into play. But it seems as though the business takes precedence over security. I just didn't think that developers would purposely say, hey, I got to get this out, I'm just going to do it this way. And it seems like they code with a mindset that we know that the software is buggy, but we got to get it out. That's interesting. With all the automation and artificial intelligence and this machine learning, is it really impacting the way that you go about coding? Is it really that impactful to say, hey, with this by itself, it is making software development safer, less buggy? I don't know. Are security vulnerabilities considered a bug, or they're considered security vulnerabilities?
Or a feature. There you go.
There are also bugs because yes, they're bugs, definitely. So I like that question, Edward, because you see, even when you're using like GitHub Copilot, let's say within VS Code, you see, this one is a Copilot. So what GitHub did last year, they embedded some security checks within GitHub Copilot. So remember that this one is sort of like your AI programmer, right? Pair programmer. So if you tell it that you want it to generate a set of code that does this securely, it will try its level best to give you code that is actually secure, right? But if you don't tell it to give it code that is actually secure, if you don't specify that you want secure code, then definitely it won't get you to that point of secure code, right? Because remember, you are the co-pilot. You need to direct it to the point where you want it to go. Like if you want to have secure code, you direct it towards generating secure code. But so it has, and also if you have like a file open and then you ask GitHub Copilot if this particular file has security vulnerabilities, it will be able to determine some security vulnerabilities because it has some of those training modules embedded as well. But remember, so GitHub Copilot is not really a security tool. It's not a code security tool. So yes, it can be able to help you in secure coding, but you have to use proper security tools like GitHub Advanced Security to determine like code security, security scanning, and your open source dependency security vulnerabilities.
Well, and you still have to have someone to review it afterwards, because otherwise, if you don't, it seems like developers, GitHub Copilot is awesome. I'm not a developer, but I've developed some things using
It's
it.
awesome.
But I think at some point, even developers can become too trusting when they develop that thing and it works automatically. I asked for secure code, but there's no review. And then later on, you find out that, well, it probably wasn't.
And then I think it's dubious, because if you're telling it to do secure code, we first have to define what secure code is.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be binary. It either secure or it isn't. And if you got the option of not making it secure, then it's always going to sort of lean to being not secure. Path of least resistance, right? Water flows that way rather than uphill. And if downhill is going to get my project complete, I'm going to flow downhill. So, but I can see that that's a challenge. And ultimately that's it. All vulnerabilities are code. All of them, whether it's running on a piece of equipment or
yeah. A lot of people say security starts with identity, but quite honestly, it starts with the development process. Starts with code.
It's the code. You know, if even if it's firmware that's on a router or embedded into something, it's code, right?
Yeah.
Break the code, and you'll see.
Or human errors.
Human errors. There you go, Brody errors. That's interesting. I think you're probably maybe the second or third person on the show that has a pure development background who has sort of went into the security realm both feet, which is cool. I would always think that developers would make some of the best security people, but now I'm starting to start scratching my head. No offense. No offense. I'm just saying. And but on Raj's team, you are a cloud advocate, security advocate. What does that mean? You know, because we really don't know what Rod does for a living. So what does that mean?
Oh, I like that. So I usually like to think of myself as a man in the middle. Because yes, we support the product groups, and then we also support the communities. So if the community says that your product sucks, we go back and tell the product team that this is what the community is saying. So we advocate for the community. You get? So and also we act, for me, I think of myself as an SME in the particular area, because you have to have that knowledge to go back to the community and train them on a particular area. So be it like DevSecOps, AI, security, like Rod does a lot of Copilot for security stuff. So yes, so you have to know and master that knowledge and go out there and train the community or train customers and get that feedback back to the product groups. Because if you get actionable feedback that helps the community and customers, that would be a plus as well for the product groups.
Yeah, I always refer to it as the feedback economy. That's why I tell people, I said, you have to give me feedback, otherwise I don't get a promotion. So
I like that.
If you like me, give me some feedback.
Agile development, right? I mean, that's how everyone operates now. It's a feedback-driven cycle. Yeah. There's no version 1 of the Copilot and then version 2 of the Copilot. It is just consistent. So that makes sense. So everybody out there, I get these too. If you have a question, comment, concern about Microsoft technology, don't hit me up on Discord and make it all attack. Take the time to fill out the feedback, and Microsoft reads all the feedback and they action upon it based on priority and impact. It actually happens. I'm not lying. I see it all the time. They actually push me as a consultant. They're like, "Are we getting more feedback? Do you have any more feedback? Does the customer have feedback?" It's like all the time. It's like a requirement. So feedback's good. I'll just stop there.
Well, we've gone in and validated the obvious that Joylynn is highly skilled. She's highly knowledgeable. She knows what she's doing. But let me ask you this question. How is the enablement to get more women into technology, particularly in Africa? How is that challenge being met? Because if it's small enough that, it seems like, I think you said it was Girls Hack Kenya. I think that's what you said. Well, she has Kenya. How do you go about getting more women into it? Because while this is a industry issue, I understand that there are nuances to where you live, to where you are. How are you getting more, women into technology? Period, which I heard is a challenge sometimes, but specifically in this vertical,
I like that question a lot. So personally, I work with other ladies. I work as a facilitator and as a mentor within several communities that are available in Africa. So one of those is like Cyber Girls. So Cyber Girls started off in Nigeria, and I remember just having a conversation with the founder. She's called Confidence, and I was telling her, like, there's a huge demand of this training within Kenya. Why not scale it out of Nigeria and have it in other regions as well? So that's how it went ahead, and now it's in 32 countries in Africa, with more than 1,000 applicants every year. So, and then they have more than 500 students as well. So, and then they're trained for 7 months, and then they choose a track that they like. So, be it like infrastructure security, be it DevSecOps, be it SOC analyst, be it GRC. So, we train them very technically and very hands-on for them to, and then they also bring in industry experts to show them a day in the life of a security professional as well, so they can be able to choose their career paths well. And the thing with that, like I've seen so many successes with that program, because I have several mentees. I had one of my mentees in that program. She went in as a lawyer, and now she's a lawyer, but now she does GRC stuff. She's now into cybersecurity. So it's just amazing. Yes, yes, Cyber Girls. Another program that is also in Kenya is Cyber Shuja. So Cyber Shuja is not only for ladies, it's both for ladies and gentlemen, but also they encourage very many ladies to come in as well. So I plug in as a facilitator and as a mentor as well for all those programs. And also every Friday, I open up my calendar on a platform called, so I open up my calendar on a platform called ADP List. So ADP List is actually, one of their founders is actually from Africa. So ADP List is a mentorship platform. So I open up my calendar every Friday where I mentor, especially on cybersecurity, anything that you want to talk about. And what I usually do is create a roadmap with all my mentees, because they know where they want to be. And then we create a roadmap towards it, and we track it every month as well. So that's what I do as well. So and we have also several other communities within Africa. So whenever they need help, I plug in as well. So that's how I help out as well.
Joylynn,
What
you're
was that
amazing.
second one you
Can I just say
mentioned?
that? You're amazing. Thank you for everything that you're doing. I just want to say that.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
This site, Cyber Girls, is awesome. I have already got the donate page open to make sure that we do our part. And it says donate in the currency is Naira. Am I saying that right?
Yes, Naira.
Okay.
So that's the
Naira.
Nigerian Naira. And Microsoft, you're actually a partner. So like last year, we like the success rate was at 90% of certification. So we offered them certification. Oh, wow. It was just amazing how brilliant the ladies are.
That's very cool. And you say that they're part of the Microsoft Give program also?
So Microsoft, we are part of their partners as well.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm writing this down. I'll forget. But definitely we'll make a donation, and we'll definitely get this link in the show notes and make the landing page the donation page. Not the home page.
I like that.
One thing that I've seen many of my mentees struggling with is lack of proper equipment. So like laptops. So I get so many mentees asking like, where can they get proper equipment? So that would be a great place to donate as well.
All right.
Yeah, that's important.
And is that specifically called out a donation page where you funded to that, or do you take equipment in kind? Because I could imagine that you could give it away, but trying to get it shipped to wherever it is. So we can talk offline about it, but I'll definitely want to follow up with you about that and see how we can assist with that. We've had 2 outstanding shows back to back where we have the opportunity to make impact to our listeners, right? Give till it hurts. All right.
No doubt.
Exactly.
Joylynn, what makes a good mentee? You mentor a lot of individuals, it sounds like, and I know the mentee-mentor relationship is important. in order to make sure everyone succeeds in the relationship. What do you look for from a mentee, and what do you think they need to give back in terms of that relationship in order to make it successful for everybody?
But most people think that when you go into a mentorship session, like they are the ones who are learning from you. But for me, I get to learn a lot from the mentees as well, because especially like on ADP list, I have mentees from almost 40 countries. Yes, and most of them are from Africa and Europe. And it's usually just amazing what you get to learn from their experiences as well. Like, it's just brilliant. So for me, what makes an amazing mentee is one who comes prepared. They know what they want. And then one who's very keen on scheduling the next call. Because for me, I should tell my mentees, you are the one who owns the session. You're the one who owns the program. I'm not here to tell you what to do. You're the one to determine for yourself what you want to do. So I will give you resources. I will show you what is available out there, but it's for you to make the decision. Because you don't want a scenario whereby you are making the decision for them and then, like something goes wrong. Yeah. So they have to own the ownership. They have to own the initiative. And one other thing for me, I always give them assignments.
Homework.
I always give them homework because for them to create a roadmap, they need to do some assessment, because some of them want to get into the cybersecurity field. And what I always tell my mentees is they go in and search for 5 companies in Kenya, in their local country, and 5 companies globally, and then they look at the job description of the job that they'd like to do. And then they do a gap analysis. So this is what I usually tell them, like a gap analysis.
I like this.
What they want to, where they want to be, and where they currently are. And that's how we create their roadmap as well. So we fill that gap and making them industry ready.
Thank you.
I might need to do that in my own career.
I know, right? And actually, this builds on our guest yesterday. We were talking about job descriptions and maybe women who feel they don't meet the qualifications, and that could prevent them from taking the risk or the chance at applying at something, when we all know that job descriptions broadly are usually well overqualified for the role, and most people are only really qualified for half or a third of the role, for being honest, in a lot of these cybersecurity positions. And it just takes you to have the drive and the desire to take that chance. But what you're talking about around, okay, well, if we find roles in your zone that you're really interested in, and we build towards some of those objectives that you would like to meet, I think that's just a fantastic piece of advice, and I would love to adopt that as well for people that I work with. Thank you very much for sharing that. That's fantastic advice and a great strategy.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Okay.
So I'm looking around. I'm actually bouncing between here and actually going through the Cyber Girls website. You're looking at all the things, the events. It looks like your next enrollment rotation is be coming up soon. So that's actually pretty cool. I'll stop being rude and look at this. The site is very well put together. It flows very nicely to see everything. So you're mentoring, you're doing this, you're keeping Rod in check within reason, as much as you can, right? Because he's silly.
Much as anyone can, yeah.
So what are some of those other goals that you have? I mean, you're mentoring, you're doing the good work at Microsoft. I'm not going to ask the burnout question. I've asked it twice, and people have told me, when you figure it out, you let me know, and then do that. So what's the next big thing for Joylynn?
In tech?
In tech.
In tech. I was about to talk about my farming ventures.
We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Farming. Yeah. Let's go off topic. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I actually live, I told you, like 3 hours away from Nairobi, and I live in a farm. So I do organic farming. So I plant strawberries, I plant tomatoes, I plant some fruit trees as well. Like, it's just, and also some chicken farming as well, so poultry farming. And yeah, it's quite fulfilling just to see, you get to learn as well from just rearing chicken and plants as well. So it's quite fulfilling for me. In terms of tech, for me, it's always a learning journey, because I know like Rod started the AI security journey way before me, but it's quite interesting to learn from the various various experts that we have. And right now I'm especially invested in AI security, especially from a developer perspective, in terms of how they can be able to develop their application securely. In terms of data security, is because in Microsoft we say that we actually don't use your data to train any of our models. So I know we want to train them as well on the shared responsibility matrix, because it's not all on Microsoft. They also have a stake on all this security journey in terms of getting security, because there's actually nothing like 100% secure. You know that, right?
What, really? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, my customers feel otherwise, but okay, I like this. Yeah.
so when someone says that they've not been hacked, I say they actually don't know that they've been hacked.
Exactly.
But they have been.
Zero trust,
So
Joylynn. Someone's always in.
I have
always spoken.
Yeah, I have a Mr. Robot poster right there.
yeah,
I got it
yeah.
Nice.
I got it last week at the Spy Museum in Berlin, and also we know where you slept.
Where you slept last night.
Yeah, that was an interesting one from the Spy Museum in Berlin. So yes, it's for me. It's just always a learning journey in terms of getting to learn what is coming up and getting on top of it. So yeah.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Here, I have a nightmare for you, Joylynn. You ready for this one?
Uh-huh.
Speaking of not being 100% protected ever, you can get to 98%. And you know this slide, Joylynn, you actually presented this in Paris and Berlin, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, so actually everything falls within like the basic cyber security hygiene. So which falls within, making sure that you're always making multi-factor authentication enabled in everything, be it your social media accounts, be it your Azure resources, everything should be multi-factor authentication, MFA enabled. And as well as having the principle of least privilege access, and also keeping up to date. So when you're talking about keeping up to date, remember when we're talking about supply chain security, making sure that all the libraries, the 80% of the code that you are borrowing into your code base is up to date, because that's what you're talking about, supply chain security vulnerabilities. And you also need to utilize an anti-malware as well. And lastly, also you have to make sure that you are protecting your data. So some people say that their data is not like important enough for an attacker. But if you say that, and then if someone else says that, but our little data, when it's put together, it's big data that is actually useful to an attacker. So
all data,
I feel like that was a pop
value.
quiz, man.
All data has value. In the famous words of Brainiac, all data has value. It's even more value. It's even more value when I have it and I destroy everybody else. So all data has value, right? And it goes back to like when people are using the social media stuff. If you don't know how the company makes money, then you are the product. You are the product. You're the product. So,
Joylynn, Edward, do you mind if I get one more? We got time. We got time. We got time. We got tons of time. Joylynn, what are you most excited for in terms of the developments in your region with regards to cybersecurity and infrastructure within your community? Critical infrastructure is a big topic for cybersecurity in North America. Do these topics come up as part of government discussions? I'd love to hear your take on the regional concerns and developments in your area.
So one thing that's quite big in my region is financial services. Yes. So you'll find that the number of attacks, especially we have the likes of M-Pesa, we have very many mobile banking solutions that are built from Africa. So that's where most of the attacks are targeting, because attackers, when they're going into infiltrate your system, they have several reasons for doing it. and the top one is usually for financial gain or for reputation. And I've not seen the reputation bit as much, but number one is mainly for financial gain. So a long time ago, there used to be that element of reputation whereby you would go on Twitter and then you say that I was able to compromise this bank's mobile application and get all this customer data, and then you post it on X, or back then it was Twitter.
Yeah.
But right now, if you do something like that, you can get into prison for 2 years plus.
Good.
So yes, so you have to have that responsible disclosure to that particular organization. So right now we see, yes, it's still around financial services hacks. Yes.
Thank you. Very intriguing.
And Brody, I thought Brody was going a different route with this, but I'll ask the same question in a different slant. It seems like maybe because I'm just in America, we always hear about literally attacking critical infrastructure, hospitals, energy, facilities, education. And if you just listen to American media, you think that the whole world's attacking us for nothing, and we're not doing it to everybody else. Are these same attacks attacking the power structure, the food supply chains over there? It's different?
It's different.
Really?
It's
Well,
different.
that's a good thing, I
Yes.
suppose. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would still think that probably some of our systems are like legacy, like the power systems, like most of them not like connected to the grid. So I'm not seeing a lot of those attacks, like the critical infrastructure attacks happening here.
But if you attack the financial sector, then you essentially are doing the same thing, because you don't have the money to repair, or, if it's smaller.
Critical infrastructure can encompass financial, I think, in a way. I think the definition of critical infrastructure can be broad.
And the economic infrastructure is the lifeblood of every country. You affect the ability to move money in some form or fashion. That is like you can't get gas. But I'll come in. I'll make an unqualified observation. You can tell me what is this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that America gets attacked in some of these more developed countries and developers based on several factors, right? Banking, war, but all these things, because they believe that America has the ability to pay and will pay, and so maybe they don't attack certain countries because it's the effort is moot when there is no money to pay. So do you think that's a motivating factor? Like, why do it? Because even if I get access to it, they're not going to be able to, to pay. Or am I totally off base on that?
I like that. I don't know why, like in most of the movies as well, like the aliens usually attack America.
Yeah, I was attacking America.
Good point. Why is it always New York City? Like,
like the rest of us don't exist.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
I think they all attack America. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So on a lighter note, so around that, yes, I still believe, because like in America, you are well connected. So that means obviously when you're connected, your exposure rate is also bigger, right? And also, yes, most organizations tend to still pay. I don't know why. Like even ransomwares, like most organizations tend to still pay for them to still get the key to encrypt. I don't know. I don't get. And I still feel like, yes, because of the financial aspect, like most companies still pay. So yes, they target those regions as well. And especially because of political reasons, because of most of the tech companies as well probably originate from the US. So it makes sense for them to attack that region more. Probably,
and that's absolutely valid. They, world power, sans military, but financial might, willingness to pay. It just seems like there's a plethora of money, and America wants to give us the money because if they didn't want to be ransomware, that's the mindset of someone. If you didn't want to be hacked, you'd have done the thing so I couldn't get in. So this is your fault. We saw some of this stuff. People have justified that the reason I hacked your stuff because you won't take care of it. So this will teach you a lesson. Pay me, and you'll be better next time.
Right? Edward's working on his next business.
Yeah, no doubt. This sounds like a interesting
business venture.
It's always a business venture. It's always money to be made, right? And I like the perspective of hearing how security is being approached, even though there's a lot of commonality, no matter where you are. It seems to be really driven on a bunch of things, country, state, and you have to start thinking about motivations of actors. You would think there'd just be arbitrary, not arbitrary, but just uniform. I'm going after anybody that's vulnerable. If they can't pay, then rest to them. They won't get their stuff back. But I'd like to talk more about that because, think about some of the countries that absolutely have huge technical prowess. Take Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huge amounts of technical and security prowess. And whether they are not getting attacked or if they are and having major issues, they're not publishing it. That's a thing. So I think maybe we need to do a show that talks about what is the difference in the way different countries approach security.
That would be
Right?
good. Yeah.
And that makes sense because you never hear, there are some outliers. New Zealand they like, we're not paying the rents. We'll start over. The health thing, we're not doing it. I think Australia said we're not paying the rents. We'll start over. Right. And because you encourage them to do these things and it's easy for me to say because I've not been part of one of these, but I'm not paying the rents. This is a hard lesson, and I'm going to learn from the lesson because getting the data back, you can't trust it anymore. You cannot trust the data. You can't even trust the equipment sometimes when it happens that way. So, no big deal on that. But hey, I know that we sort of went over, but we really enjoyed you staying for this long. I would love to meet you in person. I just looking at my schedule.
You have an opportunity. When will we see you next, Joylynn?
In Build.
Yeah, what is that, May 21st, something like that, I think?
Yes, so Build will be happening on the 21st to the 23rd of May. So we have a lot of developer security sessions lined up. Very cool sessions, so you don't want to miss that.
Where's Build being held this year?
Seattle.
It's in Seattle, and that's in May. Rob, just keep me reminded on that because.
Okay.
Is it May? It's May.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Third week of May.
Okay, third week. Because you and I are not going to run that marathon because you got to go do that and something else. So maybe I'll save that money and go come up to Bill and do that. Yeah, I may pop up there. The weather's decent enough in May. It's not depressing. You can get up there and do it. Maybe we get Brody. Actually, Brody won't be able to come. He'll be.
Yep, that is right in baby time. But baby time. Joylynn, I'm sure I would love to meet you again in person. And I think this episode's been fantastic. I mean, we're closing out Women in Security. You're just another amazing woman in security that we've had on, and I think I speak for everybody here when I say we'd love to have you back and get more perspectives. I love getting this international perspective that I'm not privy to the majority of the time. I work with North American clients, and it's eye-opening and definitely interesting to get feedback from you and what you're seeing in your region and what's top of mind and the programs that are in place to help build up good cyber hygiene and then good qualified amazing cyber secure individuals as well. So just thank you for all you do, and please come back on if Rod hasn't scared you for a future episode.
And before we go, I'll talk about a program that I was super interested in about 3 years at Microsoft, and I don't know if you know about this, Joylynn. There's a program where you can go spend up to 2 weeks in a city in Africa. Is determined by how Microsoft does this program, and you come in and you do training. You talk about tech and everything else, and Microsoft sponsors that sabbatical for you to go down there. And I've had friends who've done it at least twice, and they say it's very fulfilling to come in and do these things. I had forgotten about it up until recently about this, and that program is still active. I'm going to go look at it. I just made myself a note because my buddy did it 3 times, and he said, "Man, you come back so fulfilled." He said, "Nobody's looking at their phone. Everybody is paying attention to you the entirety of the time. They don't want to miss a single iota of knowledge that is being transferred. And if you could keep them 16 hours there, they would stay. Everybody wants to get this knowledge and be able to do that." And it's not to say that level of dedication is not here, but you know how it is. If you go to some of these training places, you start off with 20 people in the class. You look up, it's 15 because someone's checking the phone. Some people's doing something else. I'm going to look into that program again because it's
Let's go together and we'll do the show there.
We could do the show there. And your managers have to let you go. Unless it's a mission critical reason that you cannot go. This is one of your outputs. You can go do that stuff, right?
That's amazing. I can't wait to hear more about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote it down. I'm seeing, I forget the name of the actual program, but it's still active to do it.
Joylynn, we're coming to the farm. We're coming to the farm.
I'm chasing chickens.
Yeah, get the Edward can sleep in the barn. Yeah.
Brody needs some tips. He's a gardener. Well, he says he's a gardener himself, but
yes, Joylynn. I live in a very short growing season window location here in Alberta. We can grow from late May until August. I'm sure you've got a much different climate and ecosystem that you can grow in. So I would love to pick your brain on gardening if you don't mind. We have a Discord channel, the gardening dedicated channel, so we can maybe talk about that in the future.
Tender for gardening.
Definitely.
And Broda, I have a surprise for you next week. You'll see.
Good. Okay.
I'll share that. Well, to our listeners, we are concluding Women in Cyber Month with an outstanding guest, Joylynn. Thank you for coming on. It is super interesting to debunk assumptions that the way that you go about your business is the way that the world goes about their business, right? Understanding the threat. You would think that the whole world gets, this is the way to do it, but it isn't. I'm definitely going to make a donation to Cyber Girls. Got it here. I did see on the page where there is a dedicated link for laptop donations. I saw it there. And you also have an office stateside that is in Arlington, Texas. So you do have an address that is in your country and as well as in Texas. So that's pretty cool. In your registered 501(c), I checked it out. So I'm going to follow up with you because I do want to make sure I make a donation, all things being fair and square. You do it for one show, you got to do it for the other. And I'm there. Got to do it. Everyone, next month.
Yes.
Partner month. We're going to come in and see what these yahoos have to say about Copilot for security and what they're doing, right?
I hear AI is kind of the thing, so it'd be interesting to get their take on it. Yeah.
You may find out what an SCU is here very shortly.
Yeah, and you'll find out what an SCU burn is.
That's when you go up to Rod's arm and you twist it, right?
Yeah,
no, that's a new fitness program I'm working on.
That's a new fitness program. I'm going to go downstairs and feel the SCU burn.
Jane Fonda. I'll be in leotards.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna get some shirts made. SCU
burn. You should.
Burn.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
the first swag.
You guys are gonna get me in trouble.
Okay. The middle finger back scratcher. Yeah.
So everyone, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for all the participation. Thanks to all of our guests that have come on and made this absolutely the best month of the show. It would always be the best month of our show. We will continue their tradition next year. I can't say that we're not going to grow. I got a feeling it's going to be even more hectic next year. We'll put a twist on it to make it more fun. We won't, we won't simply just make it dedicated to there. Anytime that we can have a woman that's in technology that wants to come on and talk about any and all things from experience to tech, you don't have to wait to March. This show is open access. Just let us know and you can come on here. We would love for you to come on and guest host it anytime you want to, Joylynn. That way I can take some vacation. you can take the show over. Then she won't let me back. She's like, we don't need you back.
Yeah, the rest of us might not let you back.
They vote me out. She
doesn't have enough screens.
She don't have enough screens. Hey, we can get some screens. And I have an idea, Joylynn. Follow up with me tomorrow about the equipment stuff. Something that I found out when I was in Redmond. Remember we talked about it? Building 24?
Yeah.
124? I don't know if you know about that, Joylynn. I'll hip you to it. It may be the answer to the stuff that you're talking about.
Your
really good
problems. Yeah.
Your equipment problems. So thanks everyone. Thanks for the support. Episode 201. Big shout out to Franklin Grimberg, co-founder of the show, friend of the show, and my friend. Hope you get better, brother. I know you're going through some things, but the show's got your back. Give me a buzz. And I am studying, Frank. I promise you I am. So go there.
That's not what he told me, but
Franklin. And so have a good one. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.